Welcome to this week's Who the Folk podcast. I'm Lonnie Goldsmith, the editor of TC Jewfolk. This week I sit down with Hadar Pe'er, the new Israeli shaliach to St. Paul and the St. Paul Jewish Federation. We talk about adjusting to life in America, how things compare to life back in Israel, and getting to teach kids all about his homeland on this week's Who the Folk podcast. Hadar Pe'er, welcome to the Who the Folk podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And welcome to Minnesota. As you and I are talking, you've been in Minnesota for a couple weeks. You are here from Israel.
Right.
Tell us who you're working for and what the role you're doing is.
So I'm working for the Jewish Federation of St. Paul. I came from the Jewish Agency in Israel, and I'm going to be the next shaliach here for the next 2 years. And I'm so happy to be here.
So I think a lot of people might know the name, at least know the word or the title shaliach or shlicha if you're females. What does that mean? What is that role? How does that translate into what your day-to-day job is?
So it translates like I'm the Israeli guy in the area that bring Israel and do it kind of a mission to make connection with the Jewish community here in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
And to make kind of bridge between Israel and the Jewish community in the Twin Cities. And I'm the bridge. I want to be the bridge.
Okay.
I want the connection will be stronger, and I think in this year, in the last the thing that happens recently in Israel are very hard and have the relationship they are like.
The relationship in a lot of ways feels strained.
Yeah, and I think that this is very important that I am here now, and to also explain and to be the voice of Israel in these days, and have so many fake news in the news. So I want to make sure that everyone get the truth. And I want to listen, and I'm here to explain too, and to make great conversation about many interesting things, if it makes sense.
It does make sense. So, okay, let's start with how you got here. Obviously, you got here through Jewish Agency for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Why Minnesota? Was it picked at random? Did you choose Minnesota?
Yeah,
Did Minnesota choose you? How does that? I guess. Go back and explain how that piece
Okay,
works.
so first of all I did interview for the community in Minnesota, and I did a couple of interviews for another places in America.
Okay.
And St. Paul, the community in Minnesota chose me, and another community chose me as well. So I didn't.
You're in demand.
Yeah, I guess.
You are wanted. You're a wanted man. This is great.
This is great. And so I need to choose one community, and I choose Minnesota community because it's so different from Israel. If we speak about the weather, and if we speak about, I don't know, it's just different than Israel, and I'm looking for something different and something that I'm not used to. And this is my first time in America and the first time here in Minnesota, and I'm so happy that this is the place that I visit here first. So I'm really happy about my choice. And yes, I'm really happy to be here because I've heard so amazing people, and I didn't accept that in this way, and so good food, and I just love Minnesota.
So, like I said, as we're speaking now, you've only been here a couple of weeks. When you move to not just a new city, like a new country and new lifestyle, really.
Absolutely.
What's that transition process like for you?
this is really hard. I'm still in culture shock. Everything is different. Everything is new to me. And Israel, it's also Western states, Western country, development, and almost like America, almost like Minnesota, but still have a lot of differences between the culture are different, and this is really interesting, and I really love it because I can discover a new culture that I never know before. So, yeah.
What's been the most surprising? I don't know if that's the right word. I guess let's go with that. Surprising. You took the culture shock. What's been shocking? What's been the most shocking thing in the culture shock for you?
Oh my God! So it will maybe sounds weird, but the way that you clean the house. So
okay.
Because in Israel we just using in water to wash the floor, and here they using different things like because I have a lot of rugs and parquet and deck, and so this is different, and the food is not that different. I think the food is very similar.
Really?
Yeah, good food here and good food in Israel, and I can find anything here. So I'm also vegetarian. I have a lot of options here, so this is great. But yes, I think this is really hard to say because the culture, the American culture and the Israeli culture are really, really different. And I don't know now how to explain that, but I can say that wow, it's so hard to find the word, but I just don't know how to explain it right now.
That's fine.
And I said it in the good way. I mean, this is good things.
Right.
Both of the culture are really rich culture and nice culture, and it's just about differences.
And it's also only been 2 weeks. So I know I asked, these are big questions, I think, really for any time. But to ask them when you just don't have that much to draw upon yet in your experience here to know.
Yeah.
So, which I get and I respect that. But I mean, I respect that it's a tough question to answer, given that you don't really know yet, a lot. I mean, you're still sort of figuring it out.
Yeah. Let's start with the language. The language is different, and I need to I started dreaming in English, so this is weird. Starting to thinking in English, and
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, honestly.
This is hard. My brain and my head working extra hours for that. So, yes, have a lot of new things to get used to, if it makes sense.
Sure. So this being the first time you've been in the U.S., is this the first community that you've been a shaliach in, or have you had other opportunities to do this role elsewhere?
No, this is the first time that I am doing this kind of job.
Okay.
To work with communities in different place, different country. So yeah, this is the first time, and I'm really excited about that. I have so many things that I want to bring to the community, and I want to also learn, and I also want to bring the Minnesota Jewish community and a lot of amazing organization that working here to Israel. I wanted the Israelis get to know him, and I think this is kind of why I'm here, to let the Israeli know what have here, and let the Minnesota people know what have in Israel, if it makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. It's for both of ways, this shlichut.
So it's a 2-year commitment here. How has it worked with other shlichim around this country or other countries? Is it after your 2 years is up, do you go to another city? Do you go do a different thing entirely? What if some of your predecessors, not necessarily people who had been at St. Paul, but people who had been just in general doing similar jobs, friends of yours who have done this?
So every community is different from each other. I think most of the communities in America are kind of similar if we're speaking about communities in Europe, in different places, also about the language. So it's different people that used to go there and to do this job and have so many kind of shlichuyot of this job. Have shaliach in campus in the university.
Yep.
Have shaliach for JCC only, and have shaliach for Jewish Federation. It depends what the community needs and what the organization wants. But I think, if I can say that today, and I think in the last 2 years, have so many Jewish Federation in America and around the world that want Israeli shaliach. And I think it's amazing because this is not obvious for many places in the world or many places here, even in America. I have some Jewish Federation that don't, taking a shaliach.
Right.
And this is, I think this is amazing that the Jewish community in Minnesota choose to bring here every 2 years other shaliach. So I think this is amazing. This just show us and show also to Israelis people that that the community want this connection, want this relationship, and they are interesting about Israel. They're interesting about to learn more and also to bring back the if it makes sense.
It makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense, and I think it's an important point because I'm sure there are plenty of people. People everywhere have plenty of opinions of Americans and how we think, how we act, and we all sort of get grouped together. And I'm sure with Israelis it is similar. And it's nice that you can come here and sort of dispel the rumors both within the American community and then as well back to the Israeli community as well.
Absolutely.
That we're not all that different. So a couple weeks in, you've thrown right into it. You mentioned that you're a couple days a week at Camp Butland.
Right.
Working with the kids. What type of work, are you leading activity, like Israeli-based activities? What kind of work are you doing there?
So I'm in the Botwin camp every week till all summer, and I am I just create Israeli activities, which mean to create some fun games and also kind of activities that have so many kids in Botwin camp. We're speaking about I just kind of teach 150 kids in the last 2 days, and so many people there didn't know Israel or didn't know where is Israel and what language they're speaking in Israel, and general a lot of things they didn't know. And I think the fact that I'm there and doing some Israeli activities and bring Israel here to a community and let the people the chances to know Israel through my eyes, through fun games, through music and cooking, and to bring the Israeli culture. And I can say the Israeli multiculturalism because I have so many kind of cultures in Israel.
Yep.
So I'm kind of represent one or two kind of cultures that have in Israel, and it's really important to me to bring it and to taking part and also to taking part from the community. I think it's really important also for the people here that they might don't know a lot about my culture or a lot about where my grandparents came from, and have so many Jewish around the world that with a lot of stories, and I'm here to tell my Israeli story and my family story, and it's different from each shaliach. Each shaliach brings something else to the community, and this is what I love in this job and about this concept of shlichut, because each one can bring something else.
Well, I think it's fantastic, and I think, obviously it's early days yet, but what kind of response have you been getting from the campers?
So the campers, most of them don't know a lot about Israel.
Okay.
I can say 65% or something.
Interesting. Okay.
And you know, some some of the kids didn't know where is Israel at all, or didn't know Israel before they came to my spot. So this is really interesting, if I can say something funny. So one of the kids saw me with phone, and he says, "Ah, the Israeli has phones," and he thought that it's maybe desert or something like this, that people there. So I tell the little kid, so cute, and I say, you know that most of the technology in the world came from Israel, right?
I was going to say, he doesn't know that most of the parts inside the phone
Yes.
were invented
Yeah,
in Israel. That's
so
amazing.
so many big technology that
Yeah.
Israel bring to the world, and I'm here for that. I think that the 150 kids that I just saw in the last week going to remember this spot and remember this Israeli spot about what I did, because this is really interesting to get to know different country and different music and different food and just different like I'm feeling here. And I think this feeling and this experience just makes us a people, as a human being, to be more open and more more open-minded about things. And this is really important to do this program.
And then there's a lot of complex issues around, in Israel. It's complex. There's a
Absolutely.
lot of nuance that is required when talking about Israel and so many of the issues, much in the same way with America. We're not all that different in that regard.
That's right. Have a lot of complexity in Israel. If you're speaking about the conflict in between Israel and Palestine, so I think the biggest problem here, in not only here, also in Europe, that most or many people just don't know what's really going on in the Middle East. Just don't know the facts and don't know that each side suffering from this conflict. No one is happy about that. No one wants that. Even the Israeli government, even the Palestinian citizens, no one wants this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
We want to live in peace life, but unfortunately have some organization or have some people just don't like that. They actually they like it, or I guess they want to fight, and this is sad. This is absolutely sad. But this is also why I'm here, to explain and to bring the fact, because have so many fake news.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. I think it's important to hear from somebody who's, until a couple of weeks ago, was there while all of this was happening, and to know that. I think it's important that people hear from regular Israeli citizens who aren't affiliated with, they're not government officials, right? That Israelis are suffering too.
Yeah,
this is not enjoyable for anybody in Israel or the territories right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most of the Israeli don't want that. Most of the Israeli want peace, and I want to believe that the Palestinians too. And so, before that, people I can say something maybe will be sad or weird, or so easy to judge and to live here in America and judge what's happening around the world, when you don't know, when you are not living there, when you are not get these experiences and living there. So you just can't know how it's feel like. You just have to read a lot before you're speaking about the conflict, because it's really sensitive conflict. And when you're speaking about that with people, so just read a little bit about the conflict, because I'm here, like you say, for a couple of weeks, but I have so many conversation about that, and so many people just don't know, and just the end of the conversation, just ask for me sorry. They apologize. They just judge me before there are really no things.
Right. And I think it's good. It's good that you're willing to have these conversations, and it's good that you're finding people who are willing to have these conversations and not assume one way or the worst of you one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm so passionate about it. Before I came here, I've been in the shield room in my apartment and hiding from the missiles that coming to my city. And in this time, I just looking on my Instagram account and just looking, just see many American celebrities from America just posting many bad things about Israel. They just don't know anything, and I'm big fan of you, and now you are kind of against me. I'm in the shield room right now, and I love you, if I can say the name of the singers or the celebrities. But yeah, this is wrong. Mm-hmm. People have to learn about this conflict before they are talking about that. So I'm really passionate about to explain people. I'm not. I just want to create this conversation because this is also why I'm here.
Well, I think if there were more people willing to create or at least have the conversation rather than just react to a situation, maybe that would go a longer way.
Yeah.
To feeling at least more connected.
Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for that.
Well, that is excellent. All right. Well, Hadar, thank you for joining us. I have 2 questions, and then we will let you get back to your day. What is your favorite Jewish holiday?
Wow, absolutely Purim.
Okay.
To put customs and be who you are, and just no one can judge you. This is so fun. This is so fun holiday, an important one.
Yeah.
As well.
I feel like I'm going to want to revisit this conversation with you after you've experienced an American Purim. Just how different it, just in how it's celebrated here versus back in Israel. I'm interested to see what you think then.
So yeah, I'm really waiting to see. I think it will be the same, no?
I think you got to find the right people. I think it'll be a fun time. Yes.
Yes.
What is your favorite Jewish food? Now, I will preface before I let you answer that. I understand that's probably going to be a different question, a different answer than I get for most of the time because I'm asking Americans. Every once in a while, I will say, wow, my favorite Jewish food is this, but my favorite Israeli food. So you can answer it however you would like to, but there are plenty of people who would like to answer it both different ways.
So I don't know if it's Israeli or Jewish or whatever country food. This is the dish that I really love called couscous, and this is just amazing dish that came from North Africa, and this is kind of officially food in Israel. Like many people eating couscous in Israel, and I think here too. Right?
Absolutely. At least a box or 2 in my pantry. Now, is there a certain preparation of it that you really? Does somebody make it a certain way? Do you make it a certain way that's what elevates it to that level for you?
So my mom just do it so good. We have 2 kind of soup that you can eat it. One is yellow and one is red. Red is mean tomato sauce. Okay. So this one is my favorite, tomato sauce. And this is, it's good. I hope that if I don't know, go here to restaurant and I can find it, and I hope that it will be good like in Israel.
Listen, I hope you can find it too. And if anyone is listening, has a suggestion,
absolutely.
Send it my way and we'll make sure Hadar gets it.
Yeah.
Hadar,
I need couscous.
Absolutely. Hadar Pe'er, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Minnesota, and we are very excited
so much.
get to meet you today and get to know you over the course of the next couple of years. We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
The Who the Folk podcast is part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network, a product of Jew Folk Inc. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you have suggestions for other podcast guests, please email them to me at editor@tcjufolk.com. For our other shows, check out tcjufolk.com/podcast.